I meant to not be political, so I could get in trouble if I say left-wing too many times. If ever I say left-wing, I'm talking about a pigeon's left wing. Okay? Cool. Good.
Darling, has no one told you that the person was political? Come on.
You can't just quote that at me. Nobody knows who was the original person who said that, though. Like, everybody, like, goes, oh, no, it wasn't me, it was someone else. Oh, no, it wasn't me, it was someone else. Just fun little facts about that.
I thought it was kind of a while, but that might have been from throughout.
It's an awkward one. Because it's such a big feminist slogan from that early part of feminism. I'm starting the talk before the talk starts. Getting very excited. Ooh. How exciting.
I know, I'm not going to talk on it ever now.
Could start beatboxing. Every time you hand a microphone, I'm like, why did people do this? Well, why did you think this was a good idea?
Getting me in the eye.
I wonder if there's like a place I could stand where I could become the clock tower. Him. I am. I enjoyed that. Thank you for entertaining me.
A joke about camouflage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what's that? Mecha Chameleon, that game where you've got to paint yourself so that you disappear. Yeah. I'd be really bad at that.
What's that?
There's this like video game where you have to like paint yourself into the background, and like some people playing as hunters and some people playing as hiding, and you've got to like paint over your little person to make them like disappear into the background. I love watching videos from it because it's so funny.
That's funny,
Yeah. No, because some people are really, really good at the art, and they'll like paint their little person into the Mona Lisa, and then some people will just paint themselves as a cow and then start going moo. It's so obvious who they are. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right, it's 10:15. We're gonna kick off. So, thank you everybody for coming. Welcome to the Natasha Curson Memorial Trans Talk. My name's Liv. I am the head of communications at Norwich Pride. I've written as the background suggests because I thought it was gonna say Natasha Curson. But yes, welcome to Norwich Pride. So this is gonna be for about half an hour. Then we'll have our second talk, question time at 11 o'clock. I hope to see you stay for that. Then we'll head outside, and the Pride March is heading off from City Hall at about 1 o'clock. So a little bit about Natasha Curson. She was a trans activist who worked with Norwich Pride and worked at UEA. She was a big part of the staff pride there. And there was an article that she wrote for The Guardian, which was also cited last year as well, but it's still relevant. It's, at the time she wrote it, the the Gender Recognition Act had just come into force and was being rolled into the Single Equality Act. And it's kind of where we find ourselves again, really, because trans rights are very much under attack in this country at the moment. The EHRC's guidance has passed, despite the largely non-existent scrutiny. So without a discussion by MPs, without bringing anyone in, not least of all the trans community, given that we are, you know, one of the communities most affected by this, it kind of sucks. So yeah, it will hugely affect the trans community, but also the wider community as well. It presents a very narrow vision of gender, which is just patently false. But this talk for the next half an hour is our chance to very briefly hear from a couple of trans people from the local area. 3 if you count me, but I'm not really talking. And what they think you should know about being trans in the modern era. And particularly, we'll be talking about trans and queer spaces in entertainment. So, very quick introductions. To my right, we've got Dandy Darling, who is the certified king, I'm reading the script, certified king of conceptual camp and fantastical fever dream guy. He is a drag king, artist, producer, and organizer of community events. And then we've got Jenny Knight, who is a local poet who moved into queer-centric poetry events, and is also a local Green Party councillor who has pushed for greater trans plus representation in local councils, and also started the hashtag Elect the Dolls campaign. So, welcome both. Round of applause. Thank you very much for being here. As I said, they are going to talk about queer spaces for entertainment. I will pass over to you. Thank you very much as well to both our note taker and our interpreter. But without any further ado, our guests.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. God, where do we start? It's been a couple months since we spoke about what we were going to talk about. But just let's start with what we as trans people think that you need to know. First up, I think generally trans people don't particularly like talking about what you need to know. It's not on the top of our to-do list to educate everybody. Generally, it doesn't feel great when you've got to explain everything all the time, over and over again. Especially when so many people have put it into words so many times, over and over again, really, really well. There are excellent books that you can read if you want to learn more. I'd suggest reading them.
That's it, right? It's free to do some research. I don't know if you find this, Jenny. Sometimes when I'll meet people and I'll tell them I'm trans, like, that's really the only thing they want to talk to me about. And it's
My
like,
God.
you can talk to me about Pokemon or the weather or like, what's your favorite meal deal? You know, there is like more to chat about than that. Obviously, that's such an integral part of who I am, but you don't really want to just be like a fountain of knowledge for people. I'll always want to, because I think some people are afraid to ask, and it's like, I'm not going to bite your head off for asking, but I would like to be able to just talk in my fullness as a person too, right? It's kind of a balance, I think.
Yeah. Also, just thinking about it, because I had a funny conversation yesterday at Norfolk County Hall. I had a chat with one of our reform councillors, and he decided to approach me and tell me about his lived trans experience. And it was interesting to hear, but I didn't ask for that conversation, and I didn't want really to know about his trans fascist granddad, who was a black shirt, who, like, you know, helped spread radio messages from the Nazis to the other Nazi sympathizers, but apparently was a cross-dresser. In everything in the description that I heard, I think there was a bit of a mixing up of trans and cross-dresser there, but it was just a bit like, thank you for telling me. That's really nice. Wonderful.
moving swiftly on, can I go now? We've just been in committee for about 2.5 hours. Can I go home? Yeah, it was a weird one. But you end up having quite a lot of weird conversations when you're trans, especially when you're an elected trans person, because a lot of people it's often their first interaction with a trans person, let alone a trans person who, actually has influence over things that are happening. I think that's the other thing that people are often like, that they're not expecting. The amount of times that I've gone to meet residents and they don't expect a trans person. They saw Jenny Knight and they didn't realise that it was me from across the room. And I think have we heard about the 70-40 rule?
What is there?
The 70-40 rule. So before meeting a trans person, 40% of people care about trans issues. After meeting a trans person, 70% care about trans issues. And I think that's a really big deal, right? Because when you consider the fact that we're 1% of the population, there's going to be a lot of people who haven't met us, and meeting us and talking to us and getting to experience seeing a trans person makes such a big difference to your worldview that I think that actually sometimes being that friendly trans person, being that first introduction, can make a real big difference.
Thanks for sharing that, Jenny. I read something similar that was basically, a load of statistics, and it was people's, if they had anti-trans beliefs or pro-trans, and it was like everybody who is basically against us. It's like, you don't know a trans person in your life, you don't have any interaction with us. And then it was like people who had a close friend or a family member who's trans. It's like, oh yeah, their view is way more positive, because it's like people have never met a trans person. They don't really like see us as people. And you meet me and it's like, I'm just chill, like, I'm not trying to, push any kind of weird thing. And it's an interesting one as well, because I'm a drag artist, I'm a drag king, dandy darling, which I will be in an hour when I go put my makeup on after this. And that's a different thing too, of like, you say with the like cross-dressing thing, like doing drag, being trans, that's different. But I'm both, because drag is like, that's a character you put on, right, that's got a part of you in it. It's like a heightened version of yourself. I mean, it's a heightened performance of gender or a character by its definition. But then being trans is like, that's not something I'm taking off when I go home. Whatever I'm wearing, that's just me. That's just who I am. Take it or leave it, baby. So, but it's like, that's another thing. A lot of people think that drag artists, like the stereotypical definition, like you're a man, you dress as a woman. And it's like a lot of drag artists, especially drag kings, we're trans men, non-binary people, like queer, like women as well. But it's like there's such more of a, I think, gender diversity within drag than people think. And it's how a lot of people find their transness. Like that's what it was for me. So, I don't know, in terms of the queer nightlife spaces, like that's why something like that's so important, because through getting to do that heightened performance agenda, I'd do it, and then I'm like, I don't really want to like take this off afterwards, and everyone's like, well, you don't have to. You might want to look into that,
Oh God. No, I think you touching on drag. I think what I really like about drag kings, and especially about your performances.
Oh, keep going. Yes.
Is that so often it pushes the limits of where we're at with drag. And I think like if we look at UK drag specifically, like our drag comes out of a history of pantomime and the pantomime dame and stuff like that. And then you see Dandy Darling as a mantis. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that was allowed. And it's almost like that experience that I had when I was younger, and I went, oh, you're allowed to change your gender. It breaks down those rules, and I love the fact that it breaks down the rules of what everybody expected of drag. And I think that there's so much that we can push forward with, queer creative spaces, and I love it. It's so nice when it like is different to what you're expecting, and I love that kind of cryptid feel. If anybody's been on the poetry scene in Norwich for a couple of years, they might have known Casey Garfield, who unfortunately has left Norwich now. But Casey used to have a really brilliant series of poems about queer love and cryptids, and it's this, the Sasquatch of queerness, and I really love that. I like that kind of that allegory. And I think I think drag kings do that better than anyone else.
I mean, Mothman, on the cryptids thing, Mothman is a queer icon now.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how, but...
No, you should read Casey Garfield's poem about Mothman. It's phenomenal. It continuously switches between passages of love poem and direct quotes from the Wikipedia about Mothman. It's brilliant. It's one of the best love poems I've ever heard. Now I'm just going excited about Casey Garfield. Or someone
let's
asked
get excited about Mothman. Yeah. I think that's an interesting allegory, though. I think that's why a lot of horror that comes from fear of like the femininity, fear of like the queer and the trans, and like, oh, this isn't what I've seen. It's weird. It's scary. So for me, doing drag that's a bit like monstrous and it's deliberately unsettling. It's like, oh, you think I'm a creep? You think I'm a monster? Well, I will be, and you're going to love it, and it'll be fabulous. You know, like it's a reclaiming of that narrative. I think.
I think to a certain extent, like, as a trans person, puberty is the ultimate body horror film, right? Like, you can watch The Thing, but that's got nothing on going through puberty as a trans person. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of where I think that those themes really come in more modern drag. And I feel like, I hate to say it, but I do think that some of the more mainstream drag is excuse the pun, dragging behind. You know, I think if RuPaul wanted more, we could just have better drag on RuPaul's Drag Race. Come on, like the amount of amazing drag artists that I've seen in person, and then the quality of the drag artists that are on Drag Race, it's just like. It's very, very different scale, but maybe I just like the dingy little coves where you can find the proper drag. If it's not hidden in the back streets, is it really drag?
It's always in some kind of little basement, like here's your green room, it's a cupboard, and that's kind of... I love that about it, but it's interesting that I think that things like alternative drag and like drag kings, that's the only spaces that you're often going to end up doing, unless it is kind of more mainstream, which is a shame. I saw a really good show at the Royal Court. It was Sound of the Underground by Travis Alabanza. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. They basically got a load of, it's like some of my favorite like alternative drag and like cabaret artists on this big theater space. And it's like, what can you do with it? And it's just like, amazing to get to see that kind of drag on a big space like that, and it's really cool. You should look it up. It's called Sound of the Underground, and just to see we don't get the spaces and the tech to like do these huge things. It's like you gave us the resources, but it's just sadly like not really there to everyone. Like I get to travel a lot around the UK, which is wonderful, like in my work as a performer. And it's kind of the same conversation where I go. You know, I was in like Leeds the other day talking to my friend. She's an amazing drag king called Unknown Amazon, and I was talking to her, and she's like, "Yeah, one of our venues in Leeds has just closed down. It was really popular queer one. It's just gone. There's not the money. There's not, you know, events and nightlife as a whole is struggling, and it's just like." It's even harder for them, people who are maybe more on the margins with that, and just the public tide turning against like drag. A few years ago, it was like, that's cool, we want a drag artist to come book you for everything. And now it's just like harder for all of us to get the work as drag artists, which is really sad. More of us competing for like gigs where we don't get paid well, we don't getting ready in the cupboard, you know, which is, but you know, it's like, that's how I love it too. I think the best work like comes from the underground, you know, then it comes into the mainstream with things like RuPaul and that becomes different from what it started out as. But
Well, I think I always end up thinking one of my favorite musicians is Ezra Furman, and in one of the lyrics of one of her songs, it's we won't make it on the main streets; they'll push us back into the alleyways. And I think that as a queer community, as queer artists, we do a very good job of working with the alleyways. But I'm gonna be really annoying and talk about the economy for a second. But the economy's shit right now. It really is. It sucks. We're in a position where, I finished my university degree in 2020, and I was writing my dissertation about the death of the music industry. I was living in Brighton, and over 50% of venues had already started to close down before we had COVID. And then COVID happened, and so many more of these small locations that could facilitate us started to close down. And the options got smaller and smaller and smaller, and now there's a very, very limited number of spaces that we can actually take over. And it means, we work with the smallest possible stuff that we can get. We're working with 20-year-old sound desks. We're working with the places that can't afford proper speakers, the places that can't even light themselves. We're working in the places where you have to go in a cupboard to get changed. I think it's a testament to the queer community that we keep going, and that we will go back in the closet to do our makeup to come back out for the performance. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. But yeah, I think that we need to remember that this isn't just art. It isn't just culture. This is an industry. Drag artists are freelancers. Poets are freelancers. Just because we can make do, just because we will go up and perform for free at an open mic night, doesn't mean that our art doesn't have value. And I do think that it's really important that if we're, looking forward and trying to figure out where do we go from here, it's making sure that we recognize the economic value that we as a queer community actually do bring. One of the first things when the downfall of fascism is when you start seeing these corporate entities no longer support Pride because they're no longer making a massive profit off it. But it doesn't matter, if they want to make a profit off sticking a rainbow badge on, things. It should be about how we manage to make the economic value go into the pockets of the queer creators. And that means that we need to focus on how we support freelancers like drag artists.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I could not have said that better myself. Because that's it, right? It's like, I say this, but I don't say, oh, it's not, I'm in the cupboard, I'm in the closet getting ready. Like, I do it because I love it, and like people will come up to me and they're like, wow, I didn't know someone like me could do drag. Like, I really got something out of that. Like, it's purely an act of love to perform and to create art in its most like authentic form. Like, that made me who I am today. I don't think I'd be like anything without that, and it's just a beautiful thing and a huge like privilege to get to do that, I started out doing it in like the birdcage in Norwich, and we just get like £15, but there was not much drag in Norwich back then. That was really the start of it, and that was like 8 years ago, and I just did it on a whim, The story of how I got into drag was...
Yeah, the birdcage had closed before I even moved to Norwich.
See, I'm an old man. I'm like 8 in drag years, 100 in human years. But it's like... me and my friend were students. We're like, we need to stop like drinking so much. We need to get our lives together. Let's do something else. And they were like, I'll show you how to do makeup. It's like, sure, that'll be fun. And then we'd go to the shows, we'd dress up. The person who'd run it, they were like, you guys always come dressed up. Do you want to do the show? We're like, yeah, that'll be a laugh. That'll be fun. We're starting our new sensible lives as adults. We're going to be artists. And literally like 8 years later, here I am still doing it. You just couldn't get rid of me. But it's like, yeah, when you're up there, it's like a total freedom to be yourself. You get to connect with people in the audience, and you get to like be someone else, and that teaches you something about who you are, I think. When in drag, it's not like a totally different version of me. Like, that is it's like a little symbiotic. What I do as Jules influences what I do as Dandy. What I do as Dandy influences as Jules. And we grow together in a beautiful metamorphosis.
Have I ever told you about the 3 times that I did drag?
No.
Oh, okay,
Go on then.
right. So the first time was when my sister decided that she wanted to do me as Marilyn Manson for her art project. And I do describe it as drag because of the wig that she made me put on. It's possibly the worst picture of me that's ever existed. The second time, we used to do this rag week at school for charity. And for Carnival Day, my sister was the magician and I went as the magician's assistant. It was great. I loved my outfit, and my photography teacher, we had a studio photography day, and he was like, nope, you're not allowed in front of the camera, absolutely not. And I remember thinking, really? Really? Is it that bad? Are you really that insecure about your masculinity that you can't take a photo of me? Anyway, he's a dog photographer now, so I mean, I don't really care about his opinion. And then the third time was actually in Norwich. I did it for, I think somebody was doing a fundraiser for their top surgery. Yeah, it was Rowan's top surgery fundraiser. And I went as like a mushroom fairy. So my drag name for the one time I had a drag name was Florence Chevalier. Which is just my surname in French because I'm not very creative. But there we go. Yeah, no, I did give it a go. It was for the Dragon Draw. Do you remember the Dragon Draw thing?
Yeah, I remember Dragon Draw.
Yeah. No, there's a very, very sexy drawing of my legs from that. Don't look for it.
So what do you think people can do to like support queer and trans nightlife spaces? Like
The best way to support trans and queer nightlife spaces is to make sure that you actually buy tickets for them, right? Because we need to make sure that people are paying for things. And that means paying for poetry, right? Like, we often get to go to these free open mic nights, but it's not sustainable. I ran a poetry event for 2 years, Poets in the Cellar, after founding it. Poets in the Cellar is still going today, and I know that James, he's he puts quite a lot of effort into it. All the money that he earns goes to Palestine, and he's putting more effort in than he should be, really, because he's not getting any return. I mean, he's the one that made the decision to not make money off it and send it to Palestine. Back when I ran it, I did make money off it. But I paid poets, so it was a slightly different system. I pay all poets, he pays money to Palestine. It's still a really good event, but making sure that we do actually pay for art is really, really important. I think that making sure that we recognize the value of artists, especially when we have this horrific AI bubble appearing, and, I mean, the amount of terrible AI poetry I have seen on the internet, or poets who've stolen someone else's artwork to put with their poem that's, you've written 2 lines, you've called it a poem, and then you've stolen someone's artwork to post on your Instagram. That doesn't make you a poet. That makes you somebody using AI, and I really want to, point out, like, there was a phrase when the anthropologists were going to Africa in the 40s and 50s to try and record some of the African music and song, there was a tribesman that replied to them, the meaning of my word is on the moisture of my tongue. A page would only dry it out. And that is the best, like, fuck you to, like, no, I'm not gonna, don't record my work. It is the meaning is in that moment, and I think that is the most, like, poetry thing. That is where art is. Art is in the breath, and making sure that we appreciate that moment is really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, that's the beauty of live performance too. Like, an AI cannot be a praying mantis singing like Creep.
No.
It could, but it would never. And like, people don't put the value on art that it deserves, because you see a drag performer up there like 5 minutes, half an hour, but that's hours that we put making the costumes, making the tracks, organizing the show, like a huge amount of unpaid labor. Like, every drag artist and like live performer queer artist just deserves your like utmost respect, because it's thinking, yeah, the time to like write a poem, to write songs, to rehearse, like just like in your bathroom, you know, then you'll be doing it on the stage. Like all the glamour you see like on the stage, you know, there's so much work and time that just goes unpaid that that goes into that. So it's like buying tickets, like actually sharing this stuff, just like telling your friends, like goes such a long way to support these shows, and like offering skills too. Like I've got a space, I've got a mic you can borrow. I know a lot about advertising, you know, if you are wanting to be like an ally or a supporter to these events, it's like offering that stuff, like you know, just like beyond just like, oh, good luck with that, that's really cool, you do that. It's like, come to the shows, buy the tickets, it's gonna be a great time.
And then when you're at the drag show, make it rain as well. You know, they deserve a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid I will stop you there because we are wrapping up now. So any last closing statements you want to make? Other than pay artists?
Pay artists, no AI, we don't like that. Just like have a wonderful pride, you know, really enjoy it, be with the ones you love, tell them you love them, tell a trans person you love them today, and hopefully you got something out of the talk, so thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to say, I've been looking at the I Love Your Dad hat all the time, and I've just been thinking, I love my dad too. And then it's only just clicked, oh, I get the joke now. I've just been thinking, yeah, my dad is lovely.
Right, so Jenny, we'll get you talking afterwards. Thank you all very much for coming. In 15 minutes or so, at 11 o'clock, we've got question time. So if you're going to stay about for that, hope to see you there. Otherwise, thank you for staying here for the last half an hour. Thank you very much to Dandy Darling and to Jenny Knight. Have a lovely Pride.
Love you all.
Thank you.